evening. My name is Mayor Scott Vogel. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's West Milton Council meeting. Today is September the 12th, 2017, 7:30 p.m. If I could ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation by Chairperson Sarah Kopp. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for giving us this day today, Lord. We know we are not guaranteed a day, and we just appreciate everyone that's here. And God, I just want to lift up all of those who are in Florida right now and trying to overcome all of the hurricane disaster. And we just pray that you would be with them. And we also just thank you for the grace that you showed to those down there that didn't get hit as hard as they thought they would. And Lord, we just lift up all of the leaders. Lord, I pray that you would be with our presidents and all of the local governments. God, I help you. I hope you help us to make good decisions. And I ask that you would just put a special blessing over our little town. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Kopp.
You're welcome.
Please be seated. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Vogel?
Here.
Hurst?
Here.
Cobb?
Here.
Miller?
Here.
Rudy? Here. Dorman?
Here.
Zimmerman's absent.
Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to excuse absent council members. We have, I believe, Mr. Tinnerman was absent from the council workshop on 22 August and is absent tonight as well.
Make a motion to excuse the absences. Second.
August the 22nd.
I think it was the special meeting.
Oh,
that
I'm
we
sorry.
did.
You're right.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
a special meeting.
Yeah,
That's right.
so-
Okay,
last
so what
week.
was
Okay,
that?
well,
That
we
was
can
the
still do it.
29th?
Well, that was the one that we just had last week. So what's the day, the 12th?
It was the 6th. Didn't we meet on a Wednesday
Oh,
night?
that's right.
I
we did.
forget.
Yeah.
It was the 6th.
Mine's the
Okay.
6th.
So 6 September and then tonight, which is
Yeah.
the 12th.
Same motion, correct dates.
Did you second it? Sorry.
Thank you very much
You're
for the
welcome.
catch. Yes. Roll call, please.
Hurst?
Yes.
Cobb?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Rudy?
Yes.
Dorman?
Yes.
And Mayor Vogel?
Yes. Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. We have special council meeting minutes from August the 5th, council meeting minutes from August the 8th, and council workshop minutes from August the 22nd. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes for all three meetings.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Hurst?
Yes.
Cobb?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Grudich?
Yes.
Dorman?
Yes.
And Mayor Vogel?
Yes. Next on the agenda is correspondence to council. I believe we have the Miami County Budget Commission. I'll turn things over to Manager Klein.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, two pieces. One came this afternoon, and if it's all right, I'll just start with that one. You have it's a booklet, and it's from the Miami County Community Action Council. It's basically a compilation of help programs for assistance that are offered throughout the county. They dropped those off this afternoon. They asked that we provide a copy for each of the council members.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
And then, yes, you are correct. As we have every year, the Miami County Budget Commission has sent us their annual notification and setting the property tax millage for 2017. We have two. We have the regular 10 mil limitation, in which we receive 3.4 mils traditionally every year, and the street levy, which was 3 mils, which I believe was voted on 2 years ago, perhaps. You have a copy of each of those. It is required by every local government to do a voice vote of accepting the millage as established by the Miami County Budget Commission.
Okay. Thank you. This time, council, I'd like to entertain a motion or vote for the Miami County Budget Commission.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to accept the millages as written.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ernst? Scott?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Rudy?
Yes.
Dorman?
Yes.
And Mayor Folkins.
Yes.
That's all the correspondence we have this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the September Pride Award winners, and we have 3 for this month. We have Donnie and Vicky Steele at 40 North Main. We have Nick Engler and Mary Jane Favorite at South Miami Street. And we have Mike and Jill Circle at 136 North Main. And I would just like to say thank you again to all 3 of you. We really appreciate the time and effort that you take in keeping your yard and your property clean and grass mowed, the landscaping, those type of things. We've said this many times in town. We're trying to do what we can to try to clean things up and make things a little bit nicer in West Milton. This was started 5 years ago, I think, something like that, 5 or 6 years ago. And it's really been a great thing. We also do this around Christmas time to recognize those folks that have the really nice decorations for Christmas and so forth. So if I could have all 3 of you please step up front here. We got a plaque to present to you and would like to take a picture. Very good. Thank you. Yes. Yes, if you'd like to, that's totally fine. Thank you. Okay, we have Nick and Mary Jane. You hold that if you'd like. Okay, go on 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more. Got it. Thank you very much. One, two, 3. Got it. All right. Well, okay. Next on the agenda is comments from citizens regarding tonight's legislation. We have 5 pieces of legislation on the agenda tonight, and would like to open the floor up to comments from citizens in reference to tonight's legislation. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to ordinances and resolutions. The first one is CM 17-28, a resolution for petition for Stillwater Crossings New Community Authority. Ms. Brosh.
It's a resolution determining that a petition to establish the Stillwater Crossings New Community Authority District is sufficient to comply with the requirements of Section 349.03 of the Ohio Revised Code in form and substance, setting the time and place for a hearing on the petition, and authorizing the notice by publication of such hearing. Whereas the Stillwater Crossings LLC, the developer, plans to develop an approximately 97.081 acre site located within the municipal corporate boundaries of the municipality of West Milton, Ohio, the municipality, with 140,000 square feet of senior care facilities, 109,500 square feet of senior residential facilities, 22,000 square feet of medical facilities, 23,500 square feet of retail facilities, and approximately 132 single-family residential homes, the development. And whereas on September 8, 2017, the developer submitted to the council of the municipality council pursuant to revised code section 349.03, a petition for establishment of the Stillwater Crossings New Community Authority under Chapter 349 of the Ohio Revised Code, the petition, as now on file with the council. And whereas the Stillwater Crossings New Community District, as described in the petition, is located entirely within the municipal corporate boundaries of the municipality, a municipal corporation, and this council, as the legislative authority of the municipality, is therefore the organizational board of commissioners for purposes of the petition. And whereas this council has reviewed the petition and by this resolution desires to legislatively determine, pursuant to Revised Code Section 349.03, that the petition complies with the requirements of that section as to form and substance, pursuant to Revised Code Section 349.03, to set the time and place of a hearing on the petition, and further pursuant to Revised Code Section 349.03, authorize the notice by publication of the hearing on the petition. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, Organizational Board of Commissioners, this council hereby acknowledges and determines that pursuant to Revised Code Section 349.01 F3, it is the Organizational Board of Commissioners of the Stillwater Crossings New Community Authority for all purposes of Revised Code Chapter 349. Section 2, Petitions, Sufficiency and Compliance with Revised Code Section 349.03. This council has examined the petition and finds and determines that the petition is sufficient and complies with the requirements of Revised Code Section 349.03 in form and substance. Section 3, Time and Place of Hearing. Pursuant to Revised Code Section 349.03, this council hereby determines to hold a hearing on the petition on October 24, 2017 at the council chambers. And this council hereby authorizes each of the Director of Law, the municipal clerk, and the municipal manager, or any of them individually, to cause notice of the hearing to be published once a week for 3 consecutive weeks, or as provided in Revised Code Section 7.16, in a newspaper of general circulation within Miami County, Ohio, pursuant to Revised Code Section 349.03A. Section 4, Open Meetings. This council finds and determines that all formal actions of this council and any of its committees concerning and relating to the passage of this resolution were taken in an open meeting of this council, and that all deliberations of this council and any of its committees that resulted in those formal actions were in meetings open to the public, all in compliance with the law, including RC Section 121.22. Section 5, this resolution shall be effective from and after the earliest time provided by law.
Thank you, Ms. Rush. Manager Klein.
If it would please the council and the mayor, I would like to introduce Caleb Bell, who is our counsel on this. And he'll be able to describe exactly what Lene just read and what the processes would be over the course of the next 45 days or so.
Thank you, Manager Klein, and Mayor and Council. Thanks for having me here tonight. Lene does a very nice job reading all of the words that we put together in order to describe the process of creating a new community district, which is a tax overlay district that will lay on top of the Stillwater Crossings development. As you may have recalled from prior conversations that we've had, the development has a number of financial mechanisms that are paying for the public infrastructure. The TIF is one of those mechanisms where diversion of taxes, property taxes to pay for public infrastructure is available. We've talked about the property being subject to the village's abatement. So certain property taxes aren't paid. And the purpose of the community authority is to essentially put back on the tax duplicate those property taxes that are abated away. Essentially what's happening here is because of the existence of the abatement, the property owner doesn't have a lot of property tax liability. And so whereas a regular property owner may pay 70 mils of property tax, these property owners, especially in the commercial development, will be paying almost nothing for a period of 15 years. The new community district has the effect of putting back on property taxes that are then used to pay for the specific infrastructure at the site. So this mechanism is, it's a common mechanism. It's used throughout Ohio for development activity. And the mechanism requires the creation of a community district. And so before you today is the first of two actions that council will be asked to consider for this matter. This action determines that the petition put together by the developer is sufficient. It checks the statutory boxes. And there's a number of statutory boxes. The name of the district has to be identified, the area in which the district will be located, the infrastructure improvements which will be funded with the district. Those items have to be described by the developer. The developer then signs the petition and submits it to you all. So that part's been done, and the resolution before you would determine that the petition is sufficient. It checks the boxes in the statute. Today, I would recommend as your special counsel that you approve the resolution as it does, in fact, meet the statutory criteria for a petition. Then, as you heard Lene read, there will be a hearing established later on in October 24th, I believe is the hearing date. And the hearing is really where council then determines whether or not the creation of this district is in the best interests of the village and it's valuable to proceed. So the action today is not the final determination, and you retain your right to more substantively consider this at that hearing. The statute is designed to create a period of time where the public can learn about this so that then they can come back in about a month's time. And then you all can weigh in and ask questions and determine whether or not it makes sense and fits. So this is kind of that last piece of the finance plan that will come before council. And that's basically what's going on. Happy to answer any questions or to go into any of the particular details.
I just have one question. With the organizational board of commissioners, we talked about that at the last meeting. So will all of those individuals be identified before the public hearing or after the public hearing?
Well, typically, as I read the ORC, council has to appoint, it's a 7-member board, council gets 4 appointments. Of those 4, you need to appoint them within 10 days of your action. So typically, you would be identifying them and they would be part of the resolution that you would accept on October 24th. So you would identify them and typically, but.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think most municipalities, when acting as the organizational board, do some internal process. Sometimes that is a formal process at the municipal level where there's maybe a committee of people who appoint individuals for boards. And if you have a board process here, you might follow that. But the important point is it's got to tie up to the statutory requirement of the board. Your 4 appointments must be complete within 10 days of that October 24th action. So it's often the case that the municipality does the process internally during the hearing period, and then on the 24th date, on the date of the approval, you would go ahead and appoint your 4 members that night. That way you are doing it immediately, essentially. So that's the most common way that it's managed. You heard Manager Klein mention 4 board members of 7. The other 3 board members are appointed by the property owner, by the developer. So the entire scheme is set up so that the government and the public always control this process. So that board that gets created, the board of 7, cannot even meet if the quorum requirement, having more government members than developer members, is present. So the developers can never take this and go in one direction. The governmental body always has control, and that's important to remember. It's an important safeguard that's just part of the way that we do it in Ohio. Some states do this very differently, where developers do have these boards that control things. We don't do that here.
Okay. So the 3 board members that would be appointed by the developer, would those also be that same night during the hearing, or would that be afterwards?
That's just done afterwards. The
Okay.
developer doesn't have a similar time frame. They're also done just by appointment by the developer. So typically what happens is the developer will file a letter of appointment with the village law director and then legal counsel, and so that's how they appoint their members, is they do it by letter of appointment.
Okay. Sounds great. Thank you.
Sure.
You put a lot of emphasis on the deadline. What happens if you got to be the guy to
Yep.
ask, what
Mhm.
happens if the deadline's not met? It's just null and void, the whole thing?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah. I'd
Okay.
be the guy who has to stand up and say, we got to start over again. So unfortunately, these procedures are set up in order to ensure kind of windows of time for the public to have due process, and we have to conclude that due process isn't satisfied if one of the procedural steps isn't met. So we'd basically start back over again where we are today and do it over again. So it is important to try to keep that time.
I don't want the public to feel like we're rushing this. It's one of the odd things that I've ever read in the Ohio Revised Code. They're not allowed to hold the council, once they accept the petition, they're not allowed to hold a public hearing for 30 days, but they must hold a public hearing within 45. Just the way it's written.
Yep. It puts you in a very short window of time at which, the council would have to take actions. It's very interesting.
Okay.
At first, there's no, residential requirements for, the developers, when they begin to appoint people, they can appoint just anyone, correct?
That's correct.
And then after a certain amount of time, then they can still just appoint anyone, or does it have to come from the body of people within that taxing district?
It's the latter. So the population of the district will grow. We will have individuals owning homes. We'll have individuals living in the senior facilities. And those individuals, as the population builds out to the population threshold that's established in the petition, as we build that out, those appointments begin to be replaced by citizens who live in the district. So you might think of this like a homeowners association, where if you're in a development and the developer runs the association until build out and then they turn it over to the residents, this is a similar process. It's just statutorily driven, where we'll reach these population thresholds and then one of the developer members will come off. And then we'll reach another threshold and one of your appointees will come off and be replaced by somebody who lives there. It's presumed that anybody who lives there is representative of the public, so that counts as a government and not a developer appointee. And also, those individuals who live in the district, they can't serve on the board if they have some affiliation with a developer. So there's a bright line requirement that, the developer only gets these people for the development period, not for the whole life. So.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
And does the district stay in effect forever?
No, not forever. It would stay in effect for the period of time during which the district's financial obligations are outstanding. So that'll align with the bond financing for this project. Now, it is common in Ohio for municipalities to use these types of entities for new development elsewhere in the community. So this may be the first of several, developments perhaps that use this mechanism. If an additional property were to join this district, then the district would remain in existence while the obligations for that property are outstanding. So you kind of manage the life of this district alongside the financial obligations associated with the district, and you all will continue to be in complete control of that. If you approve the creation of this district, it will remain alive while those bonds are outstanding. However, if you don't want a district like that, or you don't want to extend its life, you don't have to continue to approve. So.
Very good. Any other questions from council? Manager Klein, anything?
No, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Please let me know offline as well if there are any questions. I'll take them through Matt. So. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, council, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion for CM 17-28, resolution for the petition for Stillwater Crossings New Community Authority.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to accept CM 1728 as read.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Hurst,
Yes.
Cobb,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Erdich,
Yes.
Mormon,
Yes.
and Mayor Folkins.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Caleb.
Thanks, Caleb.
All right, next on the agenda is CM 17-24. It's a resolution for the North Water Tower painting. Ms. Brosh.
It's a resolution to authorize the municipal manager to contract with Horizon Brothers Painting for painting of the North Water Tower. Whereas the municipality of West Milton has the responsibility to maintain a safe and secure water distribution system. And whereas the municipality of West Milton recognizes the need to ensure that the North Water Tower is properly maintained. And whereas this project was properly bid according to Chapter 33.18 of the West Milton Administrative Code. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, the council authorizes the municipal manager to execute the proper contractual documents with Horizon Brothers Painting of Howell, Michigan, in the amount of $330,900 for the project of painting the North Water Tower. Section 2, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage.
Thank you, Ms. Brosh. Manager Klein.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, the next three pieces of legislation have to deal with our water distribution system. Some of you may or may not know, we have a water distribution system which includes two water towers. We have a north water tower and a south one. North one being located approximately where the old Stillwater Dam used to be. If you will allow, well, let me go a little more detail. These water towers need to be maintained to ensure the health and safety of our water supply system to our residents. These have a tendency to deteriorate over time. These towers are older, very old. In fact, they were here long before Ben Heron started here, and Ben's been here for 30 years. So, sorry, I just thought that, I just had to do that. We have two water towers. They both are in need of repair and refurbishing. There is a piece of legislation coming up for consideration to talk about a water model study. I'll go into that a little bit later after it's read. But in this case, everyone is in agreement that the north water tower is our most important water tower. We did put this out to bid over the summer. The bids came back very good, in fact, and we've put together a finance mechanism, which is the next piece of legislation, to be able to pay for the refurbishing of this water tower. Ben and Tom have worked to give you some video and some still shots of the north water tower. You can see the discoloration. And what has happened is water towers, believe it or not, it's like going to the beach. When you go to the beach, you put some sunscreen on, and you so you're not hurt by the rays of the sun. Water towers have UVA protection. And once that UV protection wears off, it's just like your suntan lotion coming off. You get burned. And the North Water Tower UV protection is gone. So the water tower's been deteriorating. You might have seen some still shots there that had included some rust spots, etc. So it's very important for us to, yes, there's another good shot right there. You can see the pitting and whatnot. First, and let me rest assured, the water supply system is safe. However, we do need to maintain these to ensure their safety for everybody concerned. So tonight's resolution is to authorize the lowest and best bidder, which was Horizon Brothers, in the amount of $330,000. If you have any technical questions, Andy Schuman from Choice One is here actually to discuss any of these, actually next four pieces of legislation. So if you have any questions, Andy's here to answer for you.
I do have one, Andy. What is the life expectancy of one of these paint jobs, roughly?
The evaluation that was done, they have projected life expectancy on that evaluation.
It's 10, basically it's 10 years on the paint.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
typically what it is. I think you've gotten a lot of years out of this one,
Yeah.
so it's time.
Yeah.
So I reviewed the evaluation that was done, Matt forwarded me all the information from the company who did the evaluation.
We did have a company come in the spring to evaluate both tanks. That's how we got to this point of, we know that the UV protection was off of this and it was deteriorating quickly. We actually used a company 4 years ago that did the same evaluations, and the North Tower was actually in pretty decent shape. Andy's absolutely right. I did mention jokingly that Ben's been here for 30 years, and Ben will tell you that nothing's been done to the North Water Tower in the 30 years that he has been here. So we have definitely gotten our money's worth on the last job, but it's past due.
Do you want to mention anything about the communication that we're gonna be getting out to the public as well in reference to how this will affect the residents with their water bill and so forth?
It's $330,000 that has to be paid. The next piece of legislation is going to be a loan that we were lucky enough to get from the Ohio Water Development Authority out of Columbus. We have a fantastic rate of 0.64% for borrowing of $300,000. We have a little over we have more than $30,000 in the bank, so to speak, so we're borrowing $300,000. It is a 10-year loan. With 2,000 water customers, that comes out to approximately $1.30, about $1.35 per house per month. So a little less than $15 a year for 10 years to pay back on the loan to pay for the refurbing of the water tower.
And that will start effective 1 January of 18, correct?
That's correct. The project will be completed yet this fall. Once the project is done, the first loan payments will be back to OWDA, would be in 2019. So that gives us 1 year, 2018, to collect our first approximately $31,000 that we would be paying back to OWDA. And yes, we will be communicating that below Facebook, our website, but we'll also include a letter from council explaining that, probably in our December water bills.
Very good, thank you. Any questions from council?
When will they start the work?
Well, we sign the contracts tomorrow, and then we'll need to schedule a pre-con meeting as soon as possible.
Now, will we put the West Milton back up on it, or is there any possibility of doing the logo?
Well, we have to talk to the contractor. That's going to be one of our first questions when you have the pre-con. When we bid it out, it was just for West Milton. We were thinking about putting your face on the tank with a waving hand, but
That might lower the housing rate.
Oh, that's great. So I would envision that probably, considering today's the 12th, the work would start somewhere at the beginning of October?
Depends on the weather. We're obviously doing painting, so if it gets too cold, they can't paint. So
So-
it may end up being a spring project if the weather turns on too soon. Until we get their schedule, the pre-construction meeting, I really can't answer that.
Okay.
But our hope is to get it done this fall.
How long will it take them to do that, to paint?
They have a schedule that you.
yeah, it was actually surprisingly quick. It's, once
2
they
weeks?
get started, it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay.
It's one guy on a wooden swing rope, just floating back.
Used to be that.
Somewhere in there, there's a joke about Zane being the last one to paint.
Well, I just thought, I know we already have high water rates, obviously, and some people may be upset about that $1.35, but I think that's a pretty good deal to get a new water tower and have safe water, so that rate was really low, so don't be too upset.
Yeah. A lot of thanks is owed to Matt for really working with it's OWDA, right, to secure that and get that loan squared away, because if not, it would have been higher, so, very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Council, this time I'll entertain a motion for CM 17-12 17-24, the resolution for the North Water Tower painting.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to suggest that we accept CM 17-24 as written.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hurst,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Rudy,
Yes.
Dorman,
Yes.
and Mayor Foley.
Yes. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is CM 17. Oh,
I think we need to back up. When you made the motion, did you say I suggest?
I did.
Okay. That's not a proper motion.
okay. Very good catch. Thank you. Oh, okay. Okay, council, I'd like to entertain a motion for resolution CM 17-24 for the North Water Tower painting.
Let Mr. Hurst do it again.
I forget the words now. I make the motion to accept CM 17-24 as written.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hurst,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Rudy,
Yes.
Dorman,
Yes.
Mayor Foley.
Yes, thank you.
So much fun, I wanted to do it again.
Want to make sure we did it right.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, next is CM 17-25, the ordinance for OWDA loan. Ms. Brosh.
It's an ordinance authorizing the municipal manager to apply for, accept, and enter into a cooperative agreement with the refurbishing of the North Water Tower between the municipality of West Milton and the Ohio Water Development Authority and declaring an emergency. Whereas the municipality of West Milton needs to paint, repair, and refurbish the North Water Tower in order to maintain the health and safety of the water system. And whereas the municipality of West Milton desires to obtain a loan from the Ohio Water Development Authority, hereinafter referred to as the OWDA, to finance the cost of the project on the terms set forth in the cooperative agreement defined below. And whereas the OWDA has indicated its willingness to make a loan for that purpose and on those terms. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, the Council hereby approves the plan to refurbish the North Water Tower in cooperation with the OWDA under the provisions, terms, and conditions set forth in the cooperative agreement as set forth in Exhibit A, and hereby authorizes the municipal manager and the finance director to execute the cooperative agreement with the OWDA substantially in the form set forth in Exhibit A. Section 2, the council acknowledges that all formal actions related to the passage of this ordinance was passed in an open meeting of council in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 3, that this ordinance is hereby declared to be an emergency measure necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, and general welfare, and shall be effective upon passage.
Thank you, Ms. Brosh. I did notice in Section 2, it says the passage of this resolution, that should be changed to ordinance.
Yeah, we caught that.
Okay, all right,
Thank you.
yep. All right, Manager Klein.
This is the formal legislation that approves the loan. We typically never like to pass an ordinance by an emergency. However, in the timing of everything, both trying to get the water tower completed and in meeting OWDA requirements, they approve, we need the legislation passes. We need the legislation passes an emergency. We were approved for the loan a week ago. They're waiting on our legislation and paperwork for us to execute those documents. The OWDA only meets once a month, so we don't want to delay this. Quite frankly, it's almost, I hate to say that, but you're not going to find a lower rate. It's just over 0.5% for 10 years.
Yep.
So it's a good deal, and we apologize. The only reason it's an ordinance and not a resolution is because it's financial, because we're borrowing money, and our charter requires anything to do with finances of the city must be an ordinance.
Very good, thank you. Any questions from council?
We don't need to amend that, right? We don't need to make a motion to amend.
I don't believe so.
I will.
Matt,
I'm sorry?
question from Councilmember Hurst.
Do we need to make a motion to amend from resolution to ordinance?
No, it's just in Section 2, that's a typo.
Okay.
We'll correct that, no problem.
Okay, excellent.
And I read it as ordinance. You
I know, you did.
Make a motion to accept it as read.
Yep,
Okay.
So,
okay. All right, council, I'd like to entertain a motion for CM 17-25, ordinance for the OWDA loan.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to accept ordinance CM-17-25 as said.
Second.
Or, yes, read.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Dorman,
Yes.
and Mayor Folkins.
Yes. All right, next on the agenda is CM 17-26. It's a resolution for the water model study. Ms. Brosh.
It's a resolution to authorize the municipal manager to contract with FTC&H Engineering for a water model study of the water distribution system. Whereas the municipality of West Milton has a responsibility to maintain a safe and secure water distribution system. And whereas the municipality of West Milton recognizes that it is imperative to forecast and create a plan for the future of the water system. And whereas this project was properly bid according to Chapter 33.18 of the West Milton Administrative Code. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, the council authorizes the municipal manager to execute the proper contractual documents with FTC&H Engineers of Cincinnati, Ohio, in the amount of $18,800 for the purpose of conducting a water model study of the water distribution system. Section 2, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage.
Thank you, Ms. Brosh. Manager Klein, over to you to provide some information to the public with the water model study and why we're doing this.
Thank you, Mayor. This has been a long process, probably nearly as long as putting the Stillwater Development Agreement together. Several years ago, we actually have started a dialogue with the city of Troy. And even prior to that, we looked at options as to what to do. When I was first hired here in 2012, one of the primary political issues has been the water distribution system and actually the cost to each of our customers. We have been doing our own evaluations and trying to find a door to be able to open that would secure our system with an ultimate goal of either securing the rates or ultimately lowering the rates, making them maybe perhaps more palatable. We have opened up a dialogue for quite a while now with the City of Troy. City of Troy has actually contracted with R&A and Associates out of Cincinnati to do an evaluation of what it would look like if perhaps Troy would consider actually running our system itself. Again, please keeping in mind the ultimate goal of either securing and or lowering the rates to our residents. During these negotiations, Stillwater Development came online, or is coming online. This has an effect on our water distribution system because we're going to grow. Also has an effect on our water distribution system because it's actually going to create a second, what's called a second pressure system. The water has to go uphill by 70-some feet. During these talks, I've had very quite frank talks with the City of Troy, with always the hope of being able to achieve our political goals. And it became apparent that there was some disagreements amongst professionals. There was some assumptions made by some engineers and other assumptions made by others. And quite frankly, what it boiled down to was we, Ben and I, in this council, need to have some sort of a guidance and direction in case the City of Troy actually says no to this idea. And if the City of Troy says no to this idea, we don't have a blueprint or a map as to where we go next. And it became very apparent in our discussions over the last 6 weeks or more that we need a water model study. It's no different than DP&L that does a study probably every 2 years or more, probably every 6 months, in evaluating your system and knowing where you're going, where your weak links are, what you need to concentrate on strengthening your weakest links, and where are you going to go? Where are you going to go in 5 years? Where are you going to go in 10 years? Where are you going to go in 20 years? Quite frankly, I feel that if we do this water model study, it'll actually put us in a stronger position when we talk to the city of Troy. So, either way, it gives us a foundation as to what the future lies for the water distribution system. The North Water Tower is easy. Everyone knows and everyone's agreement. There isn't a person that disagrees that the North Water Tower needs to be refurbed. But what about the south? Do we need to create a north, or I'm sorry, do we need to create an east? What about the west side? What about Hoke Platte? What about beyond the school? What about south of town? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And quite frankly, we were assuming that this was going to be a $25,000 or $30,000 study. So we were quite actually happy with the quotes that we received. We didn't pick the biggest firms in the state. We didn't pick the smallest firms in the state. We picked firms that specialize in water. They're right in our sweet spot, or we're right in their sweet spot. FTC&H has a really good reputation. They're out of Cincinnati. They were by far the best and lowest of the bids that we received. So it would be our recommendation that we start this water model study tomorrow.
Thank you. And I would like to also state that this is something that comes up at a lot of our meetings, at workshops, at normal council meetings. I think every single one of us on council here has been concerned about this. When we were running for election for our seats, this is something that I think almost every one of us sitting here put down, that this was something that we wanted to tackle, we wanted to look at to improve for the community overall, to try to lower the water rates and to try to work through this issue. We are coming up, I think we have roughly 6 years left on our 20-year water contract that was put into place with the city of Troy. So it is paramount at this time that we definitely do something like this with the water model study, looking forward in what our options are, so that if something happens that we don't continue we're doing, we see what other options that we have on the table. So it's a long time in the making, and I'm sure we'll get some really good information from this when it's all said and done, and the money will be worthwhile and spent well. So any other comments from council members in reference to this?
I think council's worked too hard and garnered a strong reputation of making wise decisions and not quick decisions. And I think this is going to give you a blueprint for the next 10 years or more.
I agree. Okay, at this point, I'd like to entertain a motion for CM 17-26, a resolution for water model study.
Make a motion, we accept resolution CM-17-26.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hurst,
Yes.
Huff,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Rudish,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Mayor Vogt.
Yes. All right, last on the agenda for the ordinances and resolutions is CM 17-27, a resolution for the U.S. Army Corps grant for the Ludlow Falls Sewer. Ms. Brosh.
It's a resolution authorizing the municipal manager to enter into an agreement with the Department of the Army Corps of Engineers for design and construction assistance for the Village of Ludlow Falls new sanitary sewage collection system to the Village of West Milton, Ohio. Whereas the Village of West Milton and the Village of Ludlow Falls have deemed it economically desirable to construct a sanitary sewage collection system that extends from the Village of West Milton to the Village of Ludlow Falls. And whereas in order to implement such a system, the Department of the Army has offered to extend funds to the Village of West Milton as authorized by Section 594 of the Water Resources Development Act of 1999. Whereas council believes that the agreement is in the best interest of the citizens of West Milton due to it directly benefiting the village. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, the council hereby ratifies prior participation in acts of the village and its representative and officials in the design and construction of the Village of Ludlow Falls new sanitary sewage collection system to the Village of West Milton, Ohio, as generally described in the MVRPC Sanitary Sewer Feasibility Study for the Village of Ludlow Falls, authored by IBI of Westerville, Ohio, dated 2015, with the Department of the Army, and further hereby authorizes and approves the participation of the Village of West Milton through its representatives and officials in the implementation of the project with the Department of the Army Corps of Engineers. Section 2. The council hereby authorizes the municipality to take any and all actions necessary to execute, accept, or otherwise approve all documents, agreements, instruments, or other necessary papers, including but not limited to the project cooperation agreement between the Department of the Army and the Village of West Milton for the design and construction of the Village of Ludlow Falls new sanitary sewage collection system to the Village of West Milton, Ohio, as may be considered necessary or required by the Department of the Army for participation in the project and for the performance of all obligations contained in said agreement, including but not limited to the provision of notice when so required, the provision of opportunities to the government to review and comment when so required, to obtain the necessary permits and licenses, holding and saving the United States government free from all damages arising from the project and any project-related betterments, except for damages due to the fault or negligence of the government or its contractors, paying the non-federal share of total project costs in compliance with all applicable federal and state laws and regulations. Section 3, this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage.
Thank you, Ms. Brosh. Manager Klein, over to you.
First, my apologies for, I didn't really review this after we printed this off. I was the one that printed this one off and went from a big font size to the rest of it, so I apologize for that. Many may recall, it's probably been 2 years now or more. The Village of Ludlow Falls is facing some potentially dire consequences when it comes to sanitary sewer. Each of their homes are on septic systems, and they have been informed and told by health districts that if and when any of these said septic systems should fail, they would not be approved for new ones. Health district's words, not mine. These are our neighbors, and if you can imagine not being able to have a sanitary sewer system for your home, the value of your home would plummet. Again, we're neighbors, but we live all in the same school district, and that's something that none of us could afford to have any of our neighbors go through. So, as was mentioned, MVRPC, which is the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission, had paid for a study for Ludlow Falls, and there was an engineering group out of Westerville or out of Columbus, IBI, who was selected to do the study. They looked at a myriad of options. The most economically feasible option was to send our sanitary sewer lines up to Ludlow Falls. It would include a lift station, gravity-fed sewers from the vast majority of all the homes in Ludlow Falls, and then it would be a pumping system to us until it met gravity and then flowed into our connections on the north side. Ludlow Falls has contracted or has selected Choice 1 Engineering to do the design work. During that course of time, and Andy, can you help me? Nathan is from where? Nathan Davis? RCAP. Yep. What's RCAP stand for?
Rural Community Assistance Program.
There's a gentleman named Nathan Davis, Rural Community Assistance Program. It's a state agency that helps to find and create funding sources. So they've been working with Ludlow Falls and ourselves in trying to put together financial packages. This is 2017, so I guess about 2015. At the end of 2015 and all 2016, we were putting together grant applications for here, grant applications for there, et cetera. Unfortunately, Ludlow Falls and/or the Village of West Milton was turned down on several occasions. Quite frankly, I thought, okay, this is something that needs to be done, but unless we have some funding sources, it's not going to be done feasibly. It's being estimated to cost about $3.1 million to be able to send sewer to and connect to our system for the entire village of Ludlow Falls. Out of the blue, about less than a month ago, a few weeks ago, we get a call from the United States Army Corps of Engineers that they've reviewed the project and they're willing to fund this project to the tune of $1 million. Councilman Dorman didn't think I'd do it that way.
I did not.
So it's to pick up a third of the cost. There are other unsewered community grants out there that we know the village of Ludlow Falls will be eligible for. So this is pretty big news. And now here's the oxymoron to this whole thing. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, being a federal agency, had a meeting with us a week ago and said, we need you to approve this grant, or we need you to sign the paperwork to start the grant program immediately. And I'm like, I can't just sign my name to grants for $1 million without council approval. So tonight's resolution is authorizing me to execute the proper documents. Now, that doesn't mean that the Ludlow Falls Sewer Project is a go yet, okay? The Village of Ludlow Falls has to make certain decisions. We're not forcing this on Ludlow Falls. There is going to be a public meeting or two, I assume, but the first one is scheduled in October with the Village of Ludlow Falls. There are termination clauses. Lene's gone over the contract. All this is authorizing us to start the process. We don't necessarily need to spend any money out of it. It's not to authorize any of that. The oxymoron in the whole thing is when I said you guys are the federal government, you don't move fast, they said, yes, you're absolutely right. We don't move fast, but all the documents need to be executed on our end by December 31st. It goes to the Louisville office, and then it goes to the Cincinnati office, and then it goes to another office, and then it finally gets to Washington, D.C., which probably has to have 3 other signatures, and that all takes time. So that's really one of the main purposes that we had a special workshop. We usually like to go over everything with council. We don't like to bring something to the table that says, hey, we have $1 million, just trust us and sign this. So we've explained everything to everybody. It does not obligate us to pay back $1 million, and it doesn't authorize the project whatsoever. The Village of Ludlow Falls still has to authorize the project itself, not us. We are slightly bigger than Ludlow Falls. We have an administration that could administer and execute these types of grants in our offices. So we are stepping up to be the lead agent on it, but just for administrative purposes only, to help them out. So tonight's resolution is authorizing us just to execute, to start the paperwork, which is going to take over 3 months to get back, in a $1 million grant, or $1 million.
Very good, thank you. All right, council, any questions in reference to this resolution? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion for CM 17-27, resolution for the U.S. Army Corps grant for Ludlow Falls Sewer.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept CM 1727 as read.
Second.
Roll call, please.
First,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Noah,
Yep.
Judy,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
and Mayor Fogel.
Yes, thank you. All right, next is the manager's report. I'll turn things over to the municipal manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, and this evening's guests. Just a few items. The annual cruise-in, which is also known as the Fall Fling, will be this Saturday, September 16th. It will be downtown as it normally is. There will be food vendors and artisans and probably over 300 old classic cars. So come on down and enjoy yourself. Typically, it'll start at 4 o'clock. It runs till dusk. And we normally will be shutting down the streets for setup around 2 or 2:30 in the afternoon. So please come on down. It's a good time.
Just a
Especially
quick question.
if you like old cars.
I know before in the past, the park board has done a movie night, nothing like that this time?
I do not believe so, no, not this time.
Okay, just curious.
You're right, though. Just an update on Forest Avenue. It's a community development block grant program that we've been working with Union Township on in the county. It's the actual grant itself is administered through the county. There were some difficulties in the first original bidding process, so it was rebid by the county. The bids were opened last week. They will be awarding a contract at their commission meeting on September 19th. We will have a pre-construction meeting with the winning contractor as soon as that's been awarded. It's our hope that this project will be completed by November 1. It's a little bit of a widening of Forest Avenue, if you might recall. If you go up Forest Avenue toward the school, the last block or so, last 2 blocks, or whatever you want to call it, on the south side lacks any curb, lacks any sidewalk, etc. So this will help our kids walk to school on the south side of Forest Avenue, clean that area up just a little bit. One of the things that we want everyone to know, we do have to pick up a portion of the project cost, which we did budget for. But one aspect that Ben and I, in meeting and talking with Choice One and thinking about it hard, is it does include a repaving portion of the south side of the Forest Avenue street itself. We're not overly comfortable in having this done so quickly and paved so fast without, because that particular area is a little not strong when it comes to base in the road. So what we're contracting with the contractor to do is to put in a good solid base, but it will remain limestone probably throughout the winter. We'll maintain the road, we'll maintain it all throughout the winter, but then we're gonna add that into our paving portions for next year. Not only saves us money this year, but we argue that it's going to save us money in the long run. We were just afraid that if the contractor came in and paved it before November 1st, Ben's gonna look at it having to redo it again quickly. So we would rather have it sit over the winter, and we'll get a better price when it comes to spring paving for next year. So that's the only little glitch, if you want to call it. But just wanted to let everyone know we think that that's the proper way of managing this particular project in that street. Finally, I've been getting questions. I got calls today, got a text by a couple people asking me, so I'm bringing it up now, and I'll remind everyone at our October meeting. But trick or treat will be Tuesday, October 31st. This is still only September 12th, but it's got to be one of the biggest celebrations we have here in town. It will be on Tuesday, October 31st. The annual Rotary Party will be downtown as usual, starting at 4 o'clock, and trick or treat door to door will start at 6 o'clock like it normally does.
Very
That's all
good.
I have for this evening.
All right, thank you. All right, next on the agenda is old business. Anyone have any old business? Okay, any new business?
On old business, just a reminder, we had Becky Garrett in here talking about the backpack program for the kids at school. She did a very nice presentation. That is picking up, it is moving forward, and just a reminder of people that that is going on in the community, and it is making a difference with the children and what they're able to eat on the weekends. So
Now, I know they were planning to support 220 children. Were they able to meet that goal? Do you know if they received enough funding to meet that
No.
goal or not?
No, so we still need to keep moving forward.
Last Thursday, or last Friday, they were at 90, and they're slowly gonna ramp up as they go through the next couple of weeks. It takes a while to get all the paperwork back from them. They get sent an opt-out paper, so they have to make sure they get the paper back in before they provide the food.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
So I think it's important that we keep some steam behind this and keep it in everybody's hearts and minds.
Okay. All right. Any new business?
I would actually like to thank Mr. Lane, the athletic director, and our school board at Milton Union. For those of you who don't know, the cost of the admission for students to get into the games now have been lowered. So it's $2 for any student that goes to Milton, where it used to be $6. And if the kids play fall sports, they get in free for the remainder of the year. And I'm just really appreciative of that, because now it just makes it more affordable for families to go. So please go and support the kids, and we hope that, you know, we have
Right.
better turnouts at all the sporting events. So thank you, school board.
Very good. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Ben, confirmation, Friday night is the last night for waffles?
That is
For this
correct.
year, is that correct?
Yeah, there was some discussion if there were enough supplies left over, we could add a Friday, but I don't think we'd know that till maybe tomorrow or Friday. Yeah,
So it
but
looks like.
It
right
looks
now-
like the last night. If it's not, we would post it somehow, let everybody know there would be one more, but right now it looks like the last Friday.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I'm taking credit for the Bulldogs win last Friday because I mentioned them in my memo, and I forgot to do that the first 2 weeks.
Oh, hey, good call. Yeah, very good. All right, over to comments by citizens. Any comments by citizens tonight in the audience? Okay, seeing none at this time, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Everybody say aye.
Aye.
All right, good night.